you can always count on us. For we're trained to understand and to know the truth. That you love and you care about your country, your family, and above all, God, above everything. This morning we have Susan come up and read. She's going to read Psalms 91. Psalms 91 is known as the soldier's psalm. This was carried into many battles, I know, during Vietnam, that it was used especially by the Navy. The Navy was very heavy in using this psalm. And so I asked Susan if she would come up and she would read it.
Psalm 91. Those who live in the shelter of the Most High will find rest in the shadow of the Almighty. This I declare about the Lord. He alone is my refuge, my place of safety. He is my God, and I trust him. For he will rescue you from every trap and protect you from deadly disease. He will cover you with his feathers. He will shelter you with his wings. His faithful promises are your armor and protection. Do not be afraid of the terrors of the night, nor the arrow that flies in the day. Do not dread the disease that stalks in darkness, nor the disaster that strikes at midday. Though 1,000 fall at your side, though 10,000 are dying around you, these evils will not touch you. Just open your eyes and see how the wicked are punished. If you make the Lord your refuge, if you make the Most High your shelter, no evil will conquer you, no plague will come near your home. For he will order his angels to protect you wherever you go. They will hold you up with their hands, so you won't even hurt your foot on a stone. You will trample upon lions and cobras. You will crush fierce lions and serpents under your feet. The Lord says, I will rescue those who love me. I will protect those who trust in my name. When they call on me, I will answer. I will be with them in trouble. I will rescue and honor them. I will reward them with a long life and give them my salvation.
In John 15:13, it says that there is no greater love than one that will lay. This technology is more than this old 76-year-old man deals with. I'm not real good at this stuff. Anyway, but I'll give you an illustration. During the Vietnam War, not only did we fight an enemy that was hostile towards their own people, but they were hostile, our own people here in America were hostile towards us. We're seeing that even still today. And I know as other veterans and other people that have served, what we see happening against Israel and against the Jewish people, the protest and all. And the sad thing is they don't even know what these people are doing, don't even know what they're talking about. They don't have a clue. But they're followers of group. And the devil is what gets that group going. The enemy, in other words. And when I came back, when I got discharged from the service, landed in Seattle, Washington, on military hop. And boy, I thought, out of the service, this is going to be awesome. Get home, see everybody. And when I got off the plane walking over there, I started getting people holding up signs, calling me names. My own people in America. Yeah, that's okay. That's what happens. That's what happened to me. I was nothing. But I know guys that went over to Nam. One in particular, Herb Johnson, Marine, Spec 4. He was big guy. He was close to the demilitarized zone. And I don't know the exact area, but he had 9 in his platoon. And they caught in rocket fire, started catching mortar fire. Wounded behind wounded. One getting wounded, the next one. They all were out there and trying to get out. Herb carried on his own, wounded. He carried them out and into safety where they would be protected. Can we do that? How can we possibly call somebody a name like Hitler? I'm sorry, I'm telling it like it is. I'm not going to hide a punch. That is the most horrible, despicable thing anybody, in my opinion, can call anyone. Why would I want to do that? Because they don't know him. They don't know what happened in that time. This morning, I hope this morning, because we're going to do a song here, a couple of songs here in a little bit. Nancy's going to do them that we worked up. And I believe that some of you know who will remember the Vietnam War and remember especially World War II and Korea. The Korean War spoke of very little. 3,700 GIs from America lost their life in Korea. Temperatures, 10, 20, 30 below zero. Tanks would freeze up where they couldn't even move. Jeeps not start. Trapped. Where do you go? How many times do we talk about those veterans that served during the Korean War? Or how about, let's look at World War II, as we talked about Hitler. The Jewish people that were so treated in the Holocaust, and now they say there was no Holocaust. We all know better. It's proven. It's truth. But do you know what they had to do? I read a story where one of the ladies was telling me that when she was in a concentration camp, she would tear pages out of the Bible that she hid, and she would chew them up and swallow it so that she wouldn't lose it. Because they had to hide it. You see, all they wanted to do is be able to see the green grass at home and come home. They wanted to be able to go back to their land, to their families, to their friends, their jobs, places wherever it might be. But what did we do? In World War II, and I commend the ladies, the mothers, and the daughters, and all, and those that could not go, for the sacrifice that they made in World War II. They gave up clothing, they gave up their cars, their tires, their apartments, everything they had to support the movement to end tyranny and war, killing, and to bring our people home and bring the Jewish people to freedom again. My dad served in Germany. You won't believe it, but I didn't even know it until 2 years ago. He wouldn't talk about it. He never said, he wouldn't tell us anything. We didn't talk about it. I told somebody the other day, a gentleman that lived upstairs was in that war. He brought back And he brought back and he had a cardboard box. And he laid it in the kitchen of my house, of my apartment. We live in a little white apartment store. And when I opened it up, showed Mother what Mr. Paris had given me. It was a Bowie knife type deal, or from a machete, German, a Nazi flag, and other memorabilia from it. My mother screamed. I didn't know it. I'm a child. I have no idea what was wrong. And she took it and she threw it out that back door and into that yard. Then she went out and she put gasoline on it and burned it up. Right? I'm like, what is this? I had no idea. Of course, I learned later, and she explained. My grandfather was at Pearl Harbor. My dad's other brother was in New Guinea, who got wounded. He sat on a Claymore mine, lost a lot of his leg and inside of his body. But do we think about those things? Do we think about what the mothers and the fathers and those grandmothers and all, what they were doing, and the wives that were sitting and waiting at home, not knowing? Some of those guys, and still to this day, some have not been recovered. Not been recovered. Yeah, I think one of the best things I ever did was serve my country. Yeah. But I did nothing. Absolutely nothing. But I know that Harvey Rembert did. Harvey Rembert in the cavalry over in Vietnam. Helicopter gunner. 5 of them on one. 5 choppers come in, hit a booby trap, killed every cotton picking one of them. He gave it all. He gave it all. Ray Davis, another graduate of my friend of mine, he caught friendly fire, died by our own weapons. Mm-hmm. No greater love than to lay down one's life for a friend. Just as Jesus laid down his life for us, veterans also are examples of people who embody the selflessness. Today we honor and thank our veterans for their sacrifice, for their God, their country, their families, friends. But the one thing we must understand is the church is that greatest sacrifice ever given, and that was Christ. Our purpose is to bring that message. The scars that veterans have from wars, we cannot begin to understand and feel. Scars that are hidden. Like my dad never knew anything about it because he would not talk about it. My Uncle Doyle, he would never talk about it. He didn't want his name up in lights. I didn't know anything about my grandfather being in Pearl Harbor until probably 5 years ago. Didn't talk about it. Yeah. There's going to be a song that we're going to do here in a little bit. And it's called The White Cliffs of Dover. There was a lady that sang this song. Her name is Vera Lynn. A lady that sacrificed everything she could to always bring home to the troops, both American and English troops overseas, as well as French. When others would not go to certain places to sing, she would go and do it. She'd go. Amazing. I think sometimes in our eyes we see veterans as the soldiers. We don't ever think about those that sacrificed and gave back for that purpose of bringing home to them just a little taste of their green grass at the house, or the flowers that they remember so well at their home. Harvey loved to slop the pigs before he'd go to school. Every morning he slopped the pigs at their farm. Do you realize Mama didn't have anybody to slop pigs anymore? As Mrs. Rembert, wonderful lady, would sit there at home every day praying that Harvey would come back, that Ray would come back, Tim, whoever it all might be, always praying for those to come home. Same thing during Afghanistan, Desert Storm, Iraq. We don't think about what those mothers and what those wives and sisters and daughters think about every day. Where is my brother? Where is my husband? Where is my son? We don't. We're so busy we sometimes totally forget to even give it a thought. And the sad thing, I think, all of this, in regards to most of this, is that we even take the death, the sacrifice, the crucifixion of Jesus Christ just as lightly. That ought to be the first thing in our hearts, in our minds, every day. Is the greatest gift ever given was the sacrifice that God gave of his Son for us so we could have salvation. Through Christ we can experience real love. But why don't we cry for him? Why don't we cry with tears of rejoicing and celebration that a man goes and hangs on a cross so that we can be free? But we don't. Instead, we live a divided life. We let politics and all the things get in the way of that very thing. I think that if Jesus would come out into the church this morning, the first thing he'd do is he'd say, "Oh, I love you. So good to see you. And you're going to come home with me? Are you expecting me to come back? I'm coming." Yeah. Expecting me to come back. I'm going to have Nancy come up here. We're going to do a song. Expecting me to come back. Mothers, grandmothers used to go out and stand on the white cliffs of Dover and watch their husbands, their sons, relatives, friends, in their planes with the Royal Air Force fly off the base, off those white cliffs of Dover. Which was what? That's the last thing that those pilots and those soldiermen would see, would be those white cliffs of Dover. They would stand there, who knows how long they'd be on their deployment, but they'd stand there and look for their plane to come back. Many of them didn't. Looking just to see their plane, just to know they're coming home. That's World War II. That's World War II. And then if you move on into the Korean War, from that, this same song that we're going to do was carried over into the Korean War. And from that war, it was carried over into the Vietnam War. Why isn't it sung now? Why wasn't it sung at Afghanistan? Why wasn't it sung at Desert Storm? Why wasn't it sung in Iraq? If there's ever a song that should have been sung, it's that one. And you'll hear it here. We're going to do this for you.
There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover. Tomorrow, just you wait and see. There'll be love and laughter and peace ever after. Tomorrow, when the world is free. The shepherds tend his sheep. The valley will bloom again, and Johnny will go to sleep in his own little room again. There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover. Tomorrow, just you wait and see. The shepherds will tend his sheep. The valley will bloom again, and Jimmy will go to sleep in his own little room again. There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover. Tomorrow, just you wait and see. Tomorrow, just you wait